a lot of people ask me all the time, tell me one thing you learned from Coach Knight. And that's the thing that I learned more than anything is really shocking is how simple that he kept everything. The terminology, the game plan, the teaching. It was so simple. And then he was very demanding, that they take care of those things that he was teaching them.
Welcome to the Jamodi Podcast. We are all surrounded by amazing coaches and leaders. So let's get an inside look at not just what they do, but how they do what they do. After all, becoming the best versions of ourselves is Jamodi, just a matter of doing it. Today we're joined by the head men's basketball coach at Arlington Baptist University, Bubba Jennings. In the early 80s, Coach Jennings was a standout player at Texas Tech. He was named the Southwest Conference Player of the Year in 1985. From 2001 to 2013, Coach Jennings was an assistant at Texas Tech, spending 7 years with legendary Coach Bobby Knight. He spent 3 years as a head coach at Peaster High School and led his team to 3 20-plus win seasons and 2 deep playoff runs. This past season at Arlington Baptist, Coach Jennings led the Pagers to an NCCAA Southwest Region Championship. He was named Southwest Region Coach of the Year. Before we hear from Coach, take a moment to subscribe to our podcast and follow us on social media at Jamodi Podcast. Well, Coach, thank you so much for giving up your time and coming on and talking hoops with me here. Our paths have crossed at random times over the years, but you're always just somebody that I've had a lot of respect for, and I've been looking forward to this. So thank you so much, Coach.
Well, I really appreciate you having me on. Looking forward to our visit here, and really respected you as a player. As I've told you before, Coach and I mentioned to us, we had a staff meeting and we were talking about players in the Big 12, and he said, who the most valuable player in this conference is? And we all had different guesses. And he said, I think Matt Seaman for Baylor. That kid can really play.
And you all looked at him and went, what?
No, he loved the way you played, the way you got other people involved and shot the ball well. And it just made people around you better, and that's kind of the way he loved the game.
One of my claims to fame, and I think you and I have talked about this, is my last time playing at Tech, Coach Knight would always shake the hands of the head coach and then kind of bolt. He wouldn't go through the line. And because I had been a few times we played each other, I always wanted to shake his hand. And so I saw him going towards half court and I left the line and I went right. So we're walking and I just basically ran into him and said, Coach, just want to let you know, it's been an honor getting to play against you, the last couple of years. And he put his arm, and he's a big guy, put his arm around me. I felt so little. And he said, Matt, I'll tell you, if I would have been in this area or in Texas when you were coming out of high school, I would have recruited you really hard. And even though we lost, that was a huge moment for me.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Coach Knight was, he was a great one, and he could really pick out the players, and was very, very gracious guy. Sometimes gets a bad name for different things, but very, very, helped a lot of people in a lot of different ways.
Coach, knowing your playing background, as great college player at Tech, also got into the league a little bit, played overseas, been a college coach for a long time for some amazing people, and a great high school coach, and now back in college. What are 3 characteristics, if you had to choose, that you would say that's a great coach?
Well, it starts out obviously with the work ethic. You got to have a great work ethic to to be a good coach and to help kids out. The other thing I think that's really, really important is you have to be willing to learn. When I was a very, very young coach, actually my first year as a coach, I was the JV basketball coach at Clovis High School, where I graduated from, and we went and heard Hubie Brown speak, and I thought I knew a lot about everything at that time. I thought you just told them what to do and they'd go out and do it. But he told us that there's 5 different ways to do everything right, and one way that somebody does it may be their way of doing it, and then there's 4 other ways that you can do it as well. And I've always tried to really hang on to that, and sometimes people get criticized for the way they do things, and I've always just tried to keep an open mind, and I've tried to learn as much as I can, going through, and I continue to try to do that today. I watch this FIBA basketball, and I'll have 4 or 5 videos on my phone. If I watch some tonight, I'll have 4 or 5 videos on my phone of what I want my guys to be doing tomorrow.
Yeah.
So I think those are big things, willing to learn, and obviously, have a great work ethic, and have to be flexible with kids these days.
Yeah.
Kids are different. It's a different deal than it was back when Coach Knight was having a ton of success in the late 80s and early 90s and even into the 2000s. And I think the kids really, really respected him, and he was able to adapt to the kids a little bit, and more so them adapting to him.
Yeah, a great example of that is Andre Emmett. Because Andre we and him played together a little bit in high school, and knowing his background, obviously tragically passed away a few years ago, but knowing his background of playing at Carter High School, going to Tech, not really, getting along with the previous coach, Coach Knight comes, I would have never thought that he would be a guy that could thrive in that type of system. But I would think that, and I know Andre over the years has given Coach Knight a lot of credit for helping him to become the player that he was.
Oh, there's no question about it. The motion offense was great for Andre with all the screens for him, and as athletic and explosive as he was, he was probably one of the best players in the country from 15 feet and in.
Yeah.
And even at the end, learn to step out and shoot the three a little bit. And that really gave him another weapon. But he was just so tough, and Coach Knight would use him coming off those baseline screens. And I remember playing Oklahoma State when Coach Sutton was there. And I mean, he was absolutely torching a team that went to the Final Four,
Yeah.
and they just couldn't stop him. But, I think it's very important for coaches to just be flexible with kids. And, things change throughout the years, and philosophies change, and personalities change. And it's just a different approach, sometimes than it was back in the old days.
I like what Hubie said about the 5 different ways to do something right. But to me, I immediately thought of maybe the dangers of only believing in one way is that you maybe slow down your growth. You don't have that, you have a fixed mindset, which can halt your development, your team's development. But maybe there's a danger too in looking at everything, trying to pull everything in, and almost being, what is it, like a jack of all trades, but a master of none. When you watch FIBA and you watch these NBA sets, college sets, Coach, how do you kind of decipher through all of those and choose the things that really work for your program?
Right. I try to break it down and try to make it really simple, and try to adapt some of the options that they use. We don't try to do everything that they do, but we try to incorporate it into our system. And, to me, I'll do anything for an easy basket. I'm trying to get anything for an easy basket, especially at our level, with the difficult schedule that we play against. And, if there's a certain way I can set up a screen or read a screen to get a guy open, I'm going to probably put that into our offensive playbook.
Coaches, the Jamodi podcast is powered by Ballogy. Manage and measure your players' skill development and increase accountability year-round utilizing the Ballogy app. Boost inter-squad competition with drills backed by the National High School Basketball Coaches Association, including a 40-shot Ballogy skills assessment. Please visit ballogy.com/teams for information on how you can provide this resource for your team. What's one thing that makes your program different?
I think the thing that makes us different is, number one, we're trying to help the kids spiritually here at our school, going along with the academic part of it and the social part of it and the athletic part of it. We're really big into the spiritual aspect of it. And so we have to find the right kid that fits in with all that. We want good, competitive, hard playing basketball players, but there has to be a certain fit, for kids at our school. And really, it's not that hard to find kids, because a lot of kids want to play basketball. And this year we started out with 43 kids, and we're down to 41 now, but and we'll lose some, when we decide. We'll have two teams. We'll have a varsity and a junior varsity team, and we'll lose some when we make those decisions to which kids are going to play where, but overall it works out really well, and we spend 2 days a week in chapel here on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and kids take Bible classes, and they just it's a real small campus. I don't know if you've ever been here, but we've got about
I have one time, yeah.
yeah, we got about 220 kids that are athletes, and then about 60 kids that are in the ministry program here. And so really a unique situation here in Arlington.
Do kids stay on campus or do they commute?
We have dorms, so we have a lot of kids that do stay on campus, and then we have some that live at home.
I think it's a great idea. It's such a good location for the school, but to have an outlet or a place for kids, like you said, that still want to play, but maybe they don't want to sacrifice, the academic part or especially the spiritual part. Sounds like your program is a great place for them to wind up.
Right. It is a great fit. And we always have a lot of kids that are really interested, and looking forward to getting this group going that we have this year. Like I said, there's 40 plus kids right now. And so we'll be weeding them out here in a couple of weeks.
And you have a great assistant coach too, who's one of the best.
Absolutely. Coach Stars does a great job for us. He's a great recruiter, does a great job for us in practice. He's a tireless worker, and he's kind of got a little health issue that doesn't allow him to sleep a whole lot. And so he only sleeps about 2 or 3 hours a night. So the rest of the time he's spending working on basketball and recruiting.
But still has energy and everything. It doesn't wear him down, or
right. Still has great energy, and he's always out looking at kids and trying to better our program. And we certainly appreciate that.
All the different levels that you've coached at, what's your favorite style of play to teach?
Yeah. I really like to play really fast. We like to get up and down. We like to play full court defense. Here at Arlington Baptist, it's difficult to do that in the first semester. During the first semester, we play Division I and Division II teams, and it's very difficult to play that way. But if we can get into the second semester and still have a little bit of confidence and belief in ourselves, and that's the way we're going to play. We're going to pick you up full court. We're going to trap as much as we can, and really try to push the ball down the court quickly. And then I like to go into set plays. Like I said before, I'm trying everything I can to get an easy basket. If I see the Warriors do something one night, we're doing it the next day in practice.
I've tried that sometimes too. I love some of the actions they run, and then I realize, well, do we have a Curry or do we have a Thompson though to make it work? But right. Sometimes just getting different ways of getting guys in space, I think that can work at multiple levels.
Oh, absolutely. I don't think kids realize how important spacing is in basketball, and you give a guy room to operate, there's a chance he's probably going to do something pretty good, and you
one-on-one defense is hard. One-on-one defense is hard. One of the first things Coach Bliss used to always do with us at practice is a one-on-one closeout drill. We'd roll it, and we'd have to run out and guard them. And golly, if they scored on us, we'd have to do it to the next guy. And I remember thinking, man, I'm a college player. I don't know why I'm doing this still, but the truth is because it's hard, and you have to work really hard to stop that guy from taking the shot, but then also keep him in front without fouling. And so offensively, if we can create those situations even more, that just makes a lot of sense.
Oh, right. We're constantly trying to get you in long closeout. If we feel like we can do that, then we got a chance to really get to the rim or shoot a wide open three. We always want to touch the paint before we shoot a three, if possible. And there's very few guys on our team that have the green light to shoot it off one pass, come down to shoot the three. But, we're just trying to work for that high percentage shot.
How do you go about teaching them or designating who those green light shooters are?
Yeah. We kind of have them earn it. We have them come in and shoot a lot of shots, and keep track of the numbers that they're shooting. Coach Starnes, there's another area that does a great job of is he has them come in and shoot a bunch of threes, and he keeps a chart and how many threes each guy's shooting, so we take a look at it every morning and get it figured out, who's
Nice.
in here working on the shooting. And that is one advantage of being here at Arlington Baptist is, other than coming to the gym, there's not a whole lot to do on our campus. And so a kid spend a lot of time in the gym here, and our gym's open till midnight,
Less distractions there, where we went to school, there's just so many other things to do. So,
right.
Yeah. A lot of guys say that they want to play fast or that they do, but it's really hard to do that. What are some things in practice that you've put, the systems you've put in place to help them practice fast and actually play fast in games?
Yeah, we want to sprint from free throw line to free throw line in 4 minutes. We want our big man running the pipe. We want him to get down there in 4 seconds, and just get down there, get the ball down there as fast as we can. If we have an advantage, I want them to take advantage of it. If we got a numbers advantage, I really want them to probe that and see what they can get out of it. If we can't get anything out of that, then we're going to run into a set of some sort, whatever we're trying to get for a certain player. I always tell the players, I'm going to get you a shot. It's my job to get you a shot. It's your job to knock it down.
Yeah. You guys have the easy part. Just knock it down. I'm going to do the hard part.
Right. When I coached out at Peaster, little 3A school out north of Weatherford, that's when I got back into coaching from retirement. But those kids were so intelligent basketball wise. I mean, we probably had 40, 50 sets, that
Wow.
we could run, and they could remember them and they could execute them. And obviously we'd go through them every day, and that's what we do during the period. Get that hour during the period to work with them. And we'd go through all our sets during the period. And then we'd have, regular practice after school. But they could pick them up, and they could really execute them well. That gave them a chance to beat teams that were better. My last year there, we tried to schedule as many. We got caught up in the COVID year. We qualified for state on the COVID year, and we were there when they announced that there weren't going to be any more games played. We did actually get to play. We played San Antonio Cole, and they had the 7-footer that I think he's at USC now. But we did get beat there. But the kids loved playing that style of basketball, and they could pick it up. But we had them all back for the next year, and we got as many 6A and 5A teams as we could get on the schedule, and only ended up losing like 2 or 3 games, So they became very, very competitive and good kids and fun to coach and love basketball, and really, really ideal situation for me.
Yeah. Well, then is that when you transitioned to Arlington Baptist? What made you decide to go to kind of get back into the college world?
Yeah, the only thing was I was living in Mansfield, and it was an hour drive out to Peaster every day. And so
there an hour or 30.
Yeah, getting there an hour and getting back.
Oh, that's brutal.
So that was tough. I was leaving at 5 o'clock in the morning, and I'm not a young guy anymore. So that, and just the opportunity to come here and coach. This is low level college basketball, but it is college basketball, and there is recruiting going on, and you get to go out and get your players. In high school, your players are already there. You're not out recruiting them for the most part.
Yeah.
But anyways, you get a chance to recruit and evaluate kids and bring them in and put them in your system and see how that fits and everything. So I've really enjoyed that, and I've really enjoyed the 25-minute drive over here as well.
Oh, I bet that's real nice.
Yeah, and on top of all that, we've got a great president who was a coach, and he understands athletics, and he does everything he can possibly do to help us, and so it's just a great situation for me to be working in right now.
Coaches, the Jamodi podcast is powered by Shoot 360. The future of basketball has arrived in Dallas-Fort Worth. Shoot 360 combines the latest sports technology with the fundamentals of basketball skill development. The result is a one-of-a-kind video game-like basketball program designed to improve your shooting, dribbling, and passing. Visit shoot360dfw.com to learn more and register for your free 1-hour workout evaluation. Shoot 360, the future of basketball is here. What's your philosophy on scouting reports
and in-game adjustments, because I think some coaches, with their scouting report, it's going to be 8 pages long. Others is just 3 things. And and I'm not saying one way is right or wrong. The same with in-game adjustments. What are your thoughts on kind of those 2 areas?
Yeah, we try to give our players a brief scouting report. With the lack of information that we have at this level, it's hard to get real in depth. And I was been very lucky throughout my career to be around a lot of really good coaches and a lot of good assistant coaches. And I'll tell you who's one of the best guys ever to give a short, brief, effective scouting report is Chris Beard. When we were out at Texas Tech together, we officed together, and Chris would pick 3 things that the other team would do. And I mean, I was always worried about 10 things that they did, and he could break it down. And I remember when Beasley was at Kansas State and Chris had to scout, and we beat them, and we beat Texas when they were ranked like number 5, and Chris had the scouting report and just put together a great game plan of how to compete against those guys. And I've kind of tried to adopt that a little bit. I still get a little bit too much in depth at times, but I want to keep it simple for the kids to understand it and execute just a few things really, really well.
What are a few of those areas you feel like, I mean, we have to know this, the guys have to be prepared in this, because I would imagine from scouting report to scouting report, there are some similarities throughout between games.
Right. One of the biggest things for us is guarding the post, how we're going to guard the post, because obviously we're not going to be as big as those guys. And so we have a philosophy on how we guard the post based on the effectiveness of their post player. If he can't go to his right shoulder and left hand, we try to make him go the other way, and really try to use the tendencies that the guys have to influence them. And if there's a guard that can really shoot the 3, but he can't put it on the floor, we're trying to run him off the 3-point line. And sometimes you can pick out a guy that just doesn't guard anybody, and you try to attack him. And I was really lucky being at Tech all those years, getting a chance to learn under all those guys. Obviously Coach Knight and Pat Knight and Bob Byer and Stu Robinson and Chris Beard, and then I got a chance to work with Billy Gillespie as well.
Wow.
And him and Jeremy Cox, and they did a great job. Jeff Kidder, all those guys, had great things to learn from. And so getting a chance to be around them, I really picked up a lot of stuff. But, I think the biggest thing that a lot of people ask me all the time, tell me one thing you learned from Coach Knight. And that's the thing that I learned more than anything is really shocking, is how simple that he kept everything. The terminology, the game plan, the teaching, it was so simple. The terminology, it was very easy to understand. There wasn't any difficulty in it at all, and he taught them that. And then he was very demanding, that they take care of those things that he was teaching them.
And I think there's a great recipe right there of, keep it simple, but have your standards, like hold them really high. Right. And I think that's a recipe for a team that probably has an identity and a pretty deep understanding of what they're doing. The opposite is continuously, and maybe that's what I felt a little bit at times, with my first coach, was every day he'd walk down, and I can still remember he'd come down and go, "Matt, tell me what you think about this." And it'd be like another way of doing kind of something we've already been doing. And I thought, it's okay. In my head, I'm thinking, I don't know if it's going to bring us much different, but adding in something new with guys that were struggling to learn flex, like struggling at the Division I level to learn flex, like, I don't know. And then the standards for what we were doing at times weren't that high. So that to me was maybe a reason why I was able to kind of flourish, is through all that chaos, I could kind of figure out where Lawrence Roberts needed to get the ball and how I could do that for him and then play really hard. But I think that's a good recipe. Simplicity with high standards.
Right. Absolutely. It was pretty successful for Coach Knight.
He did all right.
It's amazing when you think, he won over 900 games. And, when you think about that, and I don't know how many years he was in it, but winning over 900 games. You're averaging 30 wins a year for a long time.
Yeah.
I remember the first year that he came out to Tech, and he got everybody together in the conference room, and we were all talking. It was right before the season started, and he said, "I want everybody to tell me what you think our record should be, going into conference play." And so, we had 16 games, and some people said, like, well, 12-4, 13-3, 10-6, and then it came to Coach Knight, and Coach Knight said no. He said we should be 16-0. And we ended up 15-1 because we lost to Sam Houston State. We had them down by 22 right before half, and we had a kid come down and shoot a three, and they went down and made a three, and it kind of set Coach off. And I think they got his wrath in the locker room for the first time, and then the second half we couldn't get it going. And Bob Marlin was coaching there, and he's a great coach, and everything went their way, and we ended up losing that game, which was our only, pre-conference game that we lost that year. So, Coach Knight's just high expectations and, not accepting no for an answer, and there's a way to get it done, and it was great to have a chance to be under him for the whole time he was at Texas Tech.
The Jamodi Podcast is powered by Sideline Interactive. Sideline Interactive is the leading manufacturer for high-quality, innovative scoring tables and LED video display boards that help coaches and schools bring more excitement to fans, create huge fundraising opportunities, and make their jobs easier. Visit sidelineinteractive.com to check out their amazing products.
The in-game adjustments part is something I'm actually going through Dick DeVenzio's, one of his books, Running the Show. It's a book that I've read many times. I feel like it's always nice to go back through it before the season starts. But there's this one part in there where he says, he laughs about when people come to him after a game, or he hears commentators say, man, the halftime adjustments that coach made were really incredible. And he laughs. He's like, no, we didn't do anything different except for play harder and execute what we had already talked about doing. I think that's the reality. But there's been times at Faith where we come out and, man, just energy, effort, all the things start to go better. And I've even had people say, whatever you said at halftime, well, I don't think I said anything. In-game adjustments, when that, how important that is that to you? Are you making huge decisions and changes, or are they more small?
It really depends on the opponent and how they're hurting you, and you try to figure things out, try to figure out how you're going to be able to get an easy basket on them and figure out how you're going to be able to stop them, But, I think if you have your basic fundamentals down of defense and of offense, if you have those down pretty well, you can make those adjustments pretty easily, If there was a guy that was in the post that couldn't score, we wouldn't be fronting him all the time, we'd stay behind him. Unfortunately, we don't ever hardly face that.
Yeah.
But, if we ever do, then we can stay behind them. But, we had an interesting team when I was coaching over in Artesia, New Mexico, and it was kind of a football school, and I came in and kind of got basketball going a little bit, and the kids were great. And the first year we won state, I'd come in at halftime, and the kids would be talking about, if they were down or it was a tight game, they'd always say, don't worry, we haven't made our run yet. They're going to fold. We've got to make our run, and they really, really, really believed in themselves, and they believed in our system, and they believed in our program. And part of that was to wear them down, play full court all the time. And those threes that are falling in the first quarter, quit falling in the third and fourth quarter, so, and they just had that belief in that system, And so I think that's a big part of it. You got to get your kids believing in what you do, and when you don't, it can get ugly.
That was going to be my follow-up question is, you're right on the money. I think that's probably one of coaches I talked to said culture is our number one job. I think within culture is that belief in that what we're doing is going to lead to winning. That what we're doing here actually works against the best of the best, not just our worst opponent. So how do you build that belief?
Yeah, I think you talk about it a lot. We try to show a lot of clips of video about where the things we're doing have a chance to be really successful, and just talk to them about other teams, what they're doing. Maybe bring in some NBA or other college teams and say, hey, they're not letting them go to the middle. Watch how they played this. The Mark Adams, no middle defense, which, people give him that credit for that. But back when I was playing back in the early 80s, we had the same defensive philosophy. We probably didn't execute it near as well as Mark
Yeah.
Adams does, but we had it.
Yeah.
So just try to show examples like that of how things can be really successful. And then on the other hand, when you don't do what we're trying to do, how it can be unsuccessful as well.
To your point right there, I mean, how many parts of the game are really new in your opinion? Because you have been able to play and coach in it now for so many decades. I'm not calling you old, coach. You're not old yet. But
it's okay.
How much of the game is new, different, or like, yeah, they're calling this guy's system. They're calling it this, but it's been around.
It's been around for a long time. I don't think the game's that much different. Now you have all the analytics, and it's shoot a three or a layup. I'm not really a believer in that. I was a very successful player with a pull-up jump shot. Get the defense off you. Unfortunately, I didn't get to play with the three-point line when I was in college.
You would have scored a lot more, coach.
So that would have been that. I did get to play with that in Europe. When I went to play over in England, and it was really a fun game. But to me, the way the game has changed is the emphasis on that three-point shot, and very, very little emphasis on post play anymore. You don't see many people working to get it into the post anymore. They're 5 out, getting to the rim, those kind of things. I see some of those European teams, they're getting it into the post.
That's what I was going to say. Like 10, 15 years ago, I think in the race and space world, there weren't that many high schools or colleges doing that. And now it doesn't seem that special anymore. In fact, every press conference, a coach says, we're going to have a great culture. We're going to play fast. Yeah. And so in an attempt to be different, it might make sense if the post play comes back. Yeah. Because not many people are doing that now.
Yeah, and that's another area that Coach Knight was so good at. It didn't have to be a big post player to be in the post. Yeah. He would send the guard in there. They could post up, and it was good in there. And so, he'd take advantage of that a lot. Jay Jackson, who played for us, was a really good kid down in the post, and we'd get him down there and get the ball to him, and he could go to work. And I think Steve Alford did that really well as well.
Wow.
He'd take advantage of guards. But I know when we were always playing him, when he was at New Mexico, he always had a guard in there posting us up, So,
yeah. That reminds me again of Andre, where I'll never forget when we were doing our scouting report to play you guys, and Coach Bliss would always go over matchups, and he said, all right, Matt, so you're going to guard Emmett. And I looked at him like in my head thinking, are you sure? Like, he's 6'5", like 230, like solid, huge, and he posts. I mean, I was strong, but not as nearly as big. And so, yeah, I mean, because remember, we played at our place, and then a week later in the Big 12 tournament. There was only a week's difference time in between. We won at our place. You guys won at American Airlines. But I had to guard him in the post for like basically twice in 1 week's time. Not fun. After getting hit by screens.
Oh, yeah.
And then he's there, and then he hits me. Golly. That's why my back is bad, Coach.
That had to be tough. Number one, like you said, all the screens that you got hit with, back screens, down screens, flare screens, and then his physical body as well. And he and Mikey Marshall were two of had the greatest work ethic in the weight room of any kids I've ever seen. I mean, They got in there and they went to work, and they were, squatting 450 pounds and bench pressing 300 pounds. And it was really amazing to watch, and when Coach Knight first came to Tech, he got a new strength coach, and he told him, he said, I want you to run everybody off. and he tried to. and he worked them so hard, and the guys that survived, were
Yeah.
really, really tough, and led to us going to the tournament that first year, with those kids. And it was tough on them, believe me.
Coach, I wanted to make this call all about you because I would imagine you just get tons of those Bobby Knight questions. But I'm so glad that you did share some of them because it is fascinating. Before I let you go here, I want to go through the speed round, Coach. These are going to be quick questions. First thing that pops in your head, just blurt it out.
Okay.
Favorite ice cream flavor?
Chocolate chip.
This is going to be hard for you because you were such a great shooter, greatest shooter of all time.
Jerry West.
Oh, good one. Good one. Best basketball movie of all time.
1-on-1.
Coach, second guy to say that today. I was able to have Steve Lutz. I had him on earlier today, and he mentioned that too. I haven't seen it yet, but after about 12 coaches saying it, I got to check it out.
You got to check it out. Yeah.
Okay. Texting or talking?
Talking.
For high school, shot clock or no shot clock?
No shot clock.
Ooh, okay. I didn't see that one coming, especially you like to play fast, and not that shot clock really changes that, but
yeah.
Do you mind giving me your reason why?
I just think at that level, I think they just need to learn, they need to work it around. Don't worry about the clock. Worry about what you're playing, and that kind of thing.
I get that. Favorite holiday?
Christmas. You're
up 3 on defense with 7 seconds left. Do you foul or no foul?
Absolutely foul.
Strong there. What book would you give someone?
Coach Knight's book. I don't remember the name of it, but that would be the one I'd give him.
All right, Coach. Last one here. In basketball, who is the GOAT?
Oh, no question, Michael Jordan.
Coach,
no doubt about that one.
You nailed those. You knew your answers. You didn't hesitate. Coach, I want to thank you so much for this time. Every time that I get to see you again, the connections we've been able to have over the years, I feel like you're one of those guys that when someone meets you, they feel like they've met a friend. I don't know what it is about you that you just kind of have that characteristic or quality, but really appreciate your time today.
Well, thank you, Coach. Thanks for having me on, and looking forward to seeing you next time.
Thank you for checking out today's episode. Please take a moment to subscribe to this podcast, share it with your fellow coaches, and find us on social media for what's coming up next on the Jamodi Podcast. It's just a matter of doing it.